Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Andrew Doyle. This year's Battle of Ideas Festival will be held at Church House in Westminster on the 28th and 29th of October, followed by another event at Devonshire Dome in Buxton on the 25th of November. The Westminster event will feature over 100 debates, almost 400 speakers, and debate is the key word, because all sides of the argument are heard from, and free speech is definitely the order of the day. No question of anyone being no-platformed or cancelled. The audience will be a huge part of the debates, with time set aside at the end for people to ask questions and give their views. So for the third year in a row, Free Speech Nation will be filming a special episode at the festival. I'll be there, and so will co-convenor Ella Whelan, who joins me now. Ella, welcome to the show. Tell us all about it. Battle of Ideas Festival. What year is this now? How many years have you been doing? 17,
I believe. 16 or 17.
Okay.
It's been, we've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger each year. Taken on shows like yourself. We're delighted that this is going to be the third year of Free Speech Nation. And you're going to be in conversation with Graham Linehan as well.
Yes.
Very exciting. Tom Slater, who you just heard from, is going to have the Spike podcast there and Last Orders and things like that. But also, as you mentioned, we've got this sort of... The battle becomes this sprawling event that covers, all different kinds of areas of public life, whether it's sort of your standard politics, so sort of sessions like what's going to happen if Labour gets into power after a general election, speculative kind of session like that. Economy strands looking at what's happening in the world of business with EDI and diversity initiatives and all the rest of it, to whether or not the UK is a basket case when it comes to the economy. And then sort of things that are very of the moment. We've got a whole strand on AI, and what we're really interested in looking at is whether or not the government seems to be moving towards being the best in the world at regulating AI. And we want to ask the question of whether that's really making full advantage of AI's potentials, or whether that's kind of pessimistic, and whether it's going to be the end of art and things like that. So sort of more niche things like looking at the world of neurodiversity and asking questions about whether we're all neurodiverse now. We've got someone called David Swift working, that's really exciting. And arts sessions around, balloon debate on what's the best screen adaptation. So there's really something for everyone there. But the kind of ones I wanted to mention was, part of the difficulty in planning a festival like this, because we start last year.
Of course.
And we've had this, previous years where you think you might have one session on Russia and then suddenly the war happens in Ukraine. And so we're sort of used to thinking on our feet. But this year it's been particularly volatile in politics, which, as it happens, we think is a good thing, because, change is there's always something to talk about in relation to change, and stagnation is sort of the big evil of our time, I think. But if you take an issue like conversion therapy.
Yes.
I mean, we've been to and fro on that in this country for the last, for months now. The government's saying they will ban it, though they won't ban it. There'll be this loophole. No, there won't be this loophole. Then it gets scrapped. And then the Labour Party, Annalise Dodds, comes in her speech at conference and says, we will absolutely scrap it. We will, make sure there's no loopholes at all. So we're having a session on that, which, we previously thought maybe we wouldn't, but we are going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about, some of the issues that we've previously planned, like whether, how far protests should go, which previously we envisaged as something that would look at Just Stop Oil, Extinction Rebellion, but of course now it's going to look at some of the pro-Palestine protests.
Yes.
Thinking about whether it's the right thing for Emmanuel Macron to ban pro-Palestine protests in France. I don't think it is. Where does protest end and hate speech begin, and all that stuff that you're very familiar with talking about on Free Speech Nation, we really want to get into.
This is the great thing about the festival, is you do sort of cover everything, and what a lot of people who haven't been before might not realise is, it's a whole weekend, you turn up, at any given time during the day, there are, up to 10 different debates you can choose to attend. So you can really sort of decide for yourself what experience you have of the weekend. And the other great thing, which I love, is that every session has built into it the idea that the audience can get involved. They stand up, they make arguments, we get a back and forth. I mean, this is really what is so needed at the moment. Yeah,
well, I mean, actually, with the greatest respect to our speakers who come and do it for nothing, and they're, experts in their field, the audience is what we're most interested in. So the speakers get a little bit of time at the start, maybe 5 minutes to set out their stall, and then it's straight into a kind of town hall style debate of, we don't just ask people to ask questions. In fact, some of the best speeches I've ever heard, as much as a chair, it gets, you have to stop people from making manifestos. But the best speeches I've encountered have been from audience members. And I think there's this feeling in sort of the country right now where there's a lot of shouting at the television and there's a lot of political apathy or despondency, a kind of, you know, a desire to be involved in something but an unwillingness to give your support to any of these sort of fairly useless sides of political parties. And I think people come with a kind of desire that they have to have their voices heard.
Yes.
And we think that's, you know, the heart of populism, the heart of democracy, the heart of free speech is the idea that you have a open public debate. So come and have your say, and, you know, free speech allowed, as we say, it's not just encouraged, it's central to all of our work.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And as you say, I'll be hosting Free Speech Nation live there on the Saturday afternoon, which will then go out on the Sunday. Also, I'm talking to Graham Linehan, creator of Father Ted, about his new book. So there's all sorts of stuff going on. Brilliant discounts for school pupils. They barely pay nothing, anything really.
Free day, and then it's tenner the next day. It's if you're a student or you work in STEM, it's £27.50, which is a huge discount.
Yeah.
We've got all kinds of different promo codes and discounts for any kind of campaign groups that you're organised with. But most importantly, the reason I came in this rather flattering get-up is that if you don't have any cash, which lots of us don't at the moment, and you can't afford the tickets, that isn't a barrier to stopping you from going to the festival. You can volunteer with us, you get one of these fancy outfits and you help us run the microphones, and it really is just a few hours help for a complete free pass to the entire festival.
It's a great way to see the debates,
and you know, meet speakers, meet audience members, and also I think we have this thing at the festival called the Ideas Market, where campaign groups we've got Feed coming down, which is an organisation looking at formula provision for poverty-stricken families. We've got Sex Matters, we've got all kinds of free speech union, loads of different organisations. We throw them into a tight space and you kind of wander around the stalls and meet people.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's a fantastic... So people can go to www.battleofideas.org.uk and you can buy a pass for one day or both days. It's a brilliant event. Ella, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you.